Welcome to Saturday League Kickoff.
Yeah, welcome to Saturday morning, wherever you're joining us through, whether it's live through Fox League or the SEN Network. I hope the Saturday, wherever you are, watching or listening, has started out a great weekend. Now, I know in Sydney it's been raining for the last couple of days and the outlook doesn't look great, but wherever you are around the country or in New Zealand, let's hope the weekend is going to be a good one, especially when it comes to rugby league, because there's so much going on at the moment. The NRLW has their magic round, their first magic round in Newcastle, which starts just after lunchtime today, just after the show, as well as my good mate has returned.
I'm back.
Webby, how are you?
Good. I'm great. Happy to be back. Great to be back. Big shout out to Adrian Prozenko, the Rusky, for filling in admirably last week. I was on assignment in Brisbane last week for the Australian, and I walked into the Sunnybank Hotel, and there was you and Adrian just floor-to-ceiling TV with your heads on it.
You up there?
So I'm just worried that that's what's going to be there for the punters at the Sunnybank Hotel. Now they're seeing our head on it. My head on it.
0457 736 736. Who's got a bigger head on screen, myself or Webby?
I think I've got that one covered.
Hey, you were up there last week doing, is that story?
I can't talk about that.
Can't talk about
yeah,
it
that
yet.
wasn't off the record.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, we won't talk about it.
No, thank you. Thank you for nearly giving up that exclusive on air.
Well, I did. Well, anyway. Hey, let's move on because it's been an exciting first couple of days when it comes to the round of rugby league. And like I said, if you want to get involved in the show, you can. 0457 736 736 is the number. And if you want to give us a call, we've had heaps of calls in the first, 17, 18, 19 weeks we've been going now. 1300 01 11 11 1300.
Oh, here's your teeth.
1300 01 1170 is the number. On the show tonight, we've got Broncos assistant coach Trent Barrett is going to join us as well to talk about that big win against the Bunnies last night. And Bunny fans out there, I think we all expected it, but very courageous in a lot of those areas, especially that first half.
They were in that first half. I thought Wayne Bennett was very sort of pragmatic afterwards, wasn't it? He said, look, he could see it was coming. He said, I've been around for longer than everyone. And just said he could see that they've just been up for so long and trying to fit, just trying to field a team has been hard. They didn't even have an 18th man.
I've never seen that.
No.
Ever.
No, it's, well, as Wayne said, like he's coached over half a century and he said he's never had an injury crisis like it.
Yeah.
And he'd know. He's been around longer than everybody.
There's all these questions being asked. How are these injuries happening? Is it the field they're at? Is it the training? Is it the players? Whatever it may be. It's just the game.
It just happens.
It's just the game.
I will say this. We'll talk about this later because we're going to talk about a 20-team comp and whether it's the way for rugby league to go. I think before they start looking at more teams, and it's not so much even the playing depth, it's the injury toll. Don't you find that, Sats? Every club I speak to this year just talks about how tough the game's getting in terms of managing injuries. So that's something for the ARL Commission to work out.
We are going to talk about that, and we are going to bring up some graphics around what is potentially a 20-team competition, when that would possibly happen, but also what those conferences would look like also. There's some teams that don't have to travel too far. Some teams who are used to travelling have to travel further. So we'll touch on that. You wrote a story practically a year ago about the conference system and whether it could come into the end of the National Rugby League and what that would look like. And when you see more teams, automatically people think Webby more games, but that's actually not the case. So we're going to throw up some numbers around that and whether it's the best thing for the game. And that's what's always got to be asked. Is it in the best interest of the game as well? So we'll touch on that, as well as Trent Barrett is going to join us as well. And just to answer that question, Brett from Cobbity says, no, Webby, he has the bigger head. So
thank you, Brent from Cobby.
Brett. Hey, every Saturday Spotlight starts the show. Let's get stuck into that.
The Spotlight.
Okay, Webby, off you go. What's your Spotlight?
My Spotlight is my head. No, it's not. It's actually, I would just like the next time an NRL fan whinges about refereeing, the bunker, whatever, just go and watch a game of rugby union as I tried to do last week when the Lions beat the Wallabies in the last couple of minutes. It was pretty much the best game of rugby I'd seen in a long time.
Yep.
But the pearl clutching, the hand wringing, the gibber that's gone on all week about whether they should or should not have got a penalty at the end of the game has been excruciating. If you, I don't know if you watched that test last week, they love a mid pitch discussion, don't they? Like, it just seems like it's like it's a board meeting. It just goes on and on and on and on. And their TMO, apart from being a terrible name for the video ref, they take far longer than the bunker because they go through phase after phase after phase. So my spotlight is the great game of rugby league and how simple the rules and the bunker are.
We don't know how lucky we've got it.
We don't know how lucky we've got it.
The Wallabies should never have given up a lead of that nature.
That's right.
Horrible no penalty, I should say. But in saying that, we shouldn't have given up.
And no box kicks. We hate the box kick.
The box kick.
Put the box kick in the box.
Now, my spotlight is, the Panthers are coming, everyone. They're coming. They're at the Gold Coast Titans today.
So that's Jesus, apparently.
At Seabus Super Stadium. And if they beat the Gold Coast Titans, they'll be 1 point
Jesus
behind
will come
top
if
4.
they beat the Titans. Is that what
1
you're saying?
point behind 4. So they are coming, the Panthers. Everyone,
a withering burst down the outside.
Everyone thought the top 4 was pretty much done.
Yep.
But we've seen the injury to Luke Metcalf has obviously brought the Warriors back to the field. The try from Leka Halasim has probably polished over against the Knights of where they were waning and starting to head. And a loss last week and another loss, heartbreaking loss to the Dolphins in the last moments last night, brings them back to the field a little bit more. And the Panthers are ready to, sorry to say it, pounce.
It's going to be a fascinating final series.
Yeah,
I do wish we could. Well, if we get that 20-team comp, we could take a month off the season and we could be starting them next week.
So there's one thing about the 20-team comp that I don't like. We're going to talk about very soon about what the finals look like.
It's very tricky. Isn't
We
it?
see it in the NFL.
Yeah.
I won't tell.
Well, save it.
It's called the hook and tease.
I'm aware. I'm only new to the business, but I've heard that's what it is: a hook and a tease.
And also Varley, Johnny Monkey Mays.
The great Johnny Mays.
Yeah, 1975 World Cup representative for Australia. Now, he was Cooper Cronk before Cooper Cronk. 73 won with Manly, 74, 75 with the Roosters.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Great
was
player.
He was, and in and out at I think Kevin Juni got in his way a couple of times, but still remembered as one of the greats.
Yep, absolutely. So, Varley, Johnny Mays, his family, extended family, whatever that may be, all his former teammates as well, very popular teammate. So, passed away only a few days ago. Now, let's get stuck into round 22, the Warriors v. the Dolphins. The result out of that one, of course, it's, the Dolphins get the win in the end when it looked like the Warriors they had to come from behind. And the second half, they were outstanding to get to that lead, come from behind and get to that lead, just unable to hold it because the Dolphins winning 20 points to 18, sitting 7th at the moment. The Dolphins, they're awaiting the Sharkies to play this weekend, who will overtake them on the table if they win as well. They're playing against the Cowboys. So this game last night, the big news coming out of this is Herbie Farnsworth has torn a hamstring. It's the sniper one. It's the one where you're running and all of a sudden you just pull up. And you have to keep running to slow down. And unfortunately, they're not usually a week or two. They're usually a
And he wasn't just running;
injury.
he was streaking downfield.
And he had the hammer next to him, and it
know.
hurt that much he couldn't get the ball to
The
hammer.
hammer went overran him. It was sad because he's surely one of the best centers in the competition, if not the best. The way that he, particularly when he's in open space like he was at various times early before he went off injured. Christian, I know coaches are usually loath to tell you what they think in terms of how long a player is going to be out, but Christian Wolf, the Dolphins coach, said straight afterwards, 4 to 6.
Yep.
And he said, look, it's not going to be it's not a strain, it's a tear. And you can obviously see that with the way that he pulled up. But despite that, losing their strike centre, they still managed to get the win. It was always going to be an exciting game. Dolphins Warriors. And after Halasima scored that try, I know there's still 20 minutes to go, but you thought it just seemed like that could be enough. And then but the Dolphins, they're a gritty team. Everyone talks about their attack, and that's fair enough. But they can get into the arm wrestle with a side. They had players missing, as Christian Wolf said afterwards. They had players out of position, players playing minutes that they wouldn't normally play, and they still managed to get the win over there.
They're just really well coached, and they actually replicate their head coach Christian Wolf, who's a really tough man. He's got great rugby league IQ. He's an amazing communicator. He draws a line in the sand from day one, but he's a tough man as well, and they're a tough, gritty side. Now, Kurt Donahue was expected to play a lot of first grade this week, maybe coming off the bench, filling off with injuries. Playing lock forward has been one of their best players this season. 58 tackles. He plays the perfect lock role. Bobby Lindner, one of the great locks of years gone by, he used to once say that the lock forward should be like a chameleon. So it doesn't matter whether the game has got to be played really tight and tough. You've got to be able to do that. If it's a really open game where the ball's being thrown around, you've got to become a really good running target as well. And you've got to be down there and doing all the kick chase. And Kurt Donahue did all of that. He is playing the perfect old school lock forward role for Christian Wolf as well. So well done to the Dolphins last night. Jeremy Marshall-King, outstanding again. Really creative out of dummy half, deceptive, but also he's the man that delivered that cutout ball to Jermaine Asako to score the last try.
Absolutely.
Now, Jermaine Asako was injured when scoring that winning try, and this is what Christian Wolf had to say post-game about Jermaine Asako.
Look, he struggled through, he sort of had a bit of a groin issue in the first half. That's why he wasn't doing the kicking, and did really well. Obviously we had other problems going on, so he did really well to hang out there and probably not have his usual impact and involvement, but he made sure he stayed out there, he made sure he didn't let us down, and he did great on that last try, didn't he?
Yeah, so he's injured anyway to be able to score that try. Amazing. So Magpie Swanee, we hope he answered that for you, Herbie Farnsworth. It could be anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. Reading on Twitter the NRL physio, he's usually
Brian
pretty
Senni.
on the money. Yeah,
he knows what he's doing, Brian.
His graphics are amazing when he tries to explain an injury as well. He said the same, anywhere from sort of 1 to 2 months, which is what Christian Wolf has said also. So when we look at...
what do we think about the Warriors?
Well, can I touch on this? We all know we're talking about this before the show, Webby, like a Halasima. Now, it's no secret how good this kid is. And when we're talking about it, he reminds me of Gordy Tallis at the same age. Like, Gordy was big and rangy. He was really quick for a back rower. He was physical. When you tackled him, you actually hurt yourself when you tackled him. You get his elbow or his hip or whatever it may be. This kid's exactly the same.
And the skill on him,
like
the ability to take the kick and then get away and score the try. The same thing against the Knights, the big left foot Freddie Fittler step, and he's just for a player of his age to be doing what he's doing. He's obviously got so much raw ability. It's scary to think where he could be in the next couple of years.
Now the Dolphins, they lost most of the stats. They lost the run meters. They lost possession. They lost more. They had more errors. They had more ineffective tackles and still won the game. So what that usually means to me is that when they've got the ball in their hand, they ask more questions than anyone else across the entire field.
Yeah,
and they do that every set of 6. You think something's going to happen with them. They've got so much speed, and then they've got young Katoa and Nikorima back.
Katoa's just like, even in the post-match press conference, like
he's mature, isn't he?
He's such a mature. He's I'm constantly going, are they sure he's 21? I keep looking up his age to make sure that's the case. He just, the way that he plays, the way that he talks, the way that he approaches his footy, he reminds me of like Nathan.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. Just that real sort of level-headed maturity and calmness, and I think that's what you want from your playmaker. But it's. I'd love to see them in there. I loved it. I think they Bennett laid the foundations for that club, and Christian Wolf, in some respects, seems like a chip off the Bennett block. He's very calm and cool himself. Not getting ahead of himself, but it'll be so good for that club and the game if he could, if they could make the 8.
Yeah, agree. Now the Warriors. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, he only ran for 335 metres. He was amazing. Kurt Catewell, he's getting better with age, Kurt Catewell. But there's just something missing. When they in the key moments, for some reason, the Warriors, they just lose their head.
They do. It's a bit hard with when they don't have Metcalf. I think he's just been such a big loss for them.
He was their key player, wasn't he?
He was. It's going to be very tough for them to finish 4th in the 4.
Yeah. Now,
but that said, it's been a good season for them in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I
Yeah,
think people didn't know what to expect
Well,
from
they're
the
not
Warriors,
finished. They're still
particularly
gonna-
after the
they're
way
still gonna
that
play finals.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's right. But I just there was some sort of feeling there that they could have won it at one point. But I think as I said, Metcalf not being there's going to hurt him, isn't it?
Yeah, Mitch Barnett, big loss as well, State of Origin player. Palms
right.
Redman says, does a full-strength Dolphins team make a deep run next year? Finns versus Eels GF next year. Well, you know what? They're just building perfectly for a new team. Titans came into the comp. They played finals in 2009, their third season. Dolphins, will they look as though they're going to play finals this year if they can continue on the way that they're going at the moment? And at worst they'll miss out. At best they'll probably be 8th or 7th and fight out the Sharks for the last two positions.
Francis Molo's been great for the Dolphins. Since he's got there. I don't know what happened to the Dragons, but he's been really important for the Dolphins this year.
He has. It's funny the shorter, more mobile front rowers coming back into the game. Now we went through this period where the front rowers are 6'3", 6'4", and could run like centres, and it's great to have them. But we're now seeing sort of an imbalance in the front rows now. One big front row, one shorter front row. Young Ben Tulty, who comes on for the Broncos,
He's great.
like he'd be 5'11" on a good day, like low to the ground, a little bit like a Luke Bailey type front rower. We're seeing that come back into the game a whole lot more.
Don't you reckon though? I reckon I was talking to Matty Johns about this on Morning Glory yesterday. It seems like there's a lot of players of the same build.
Yeah.
They're like sort of homogenised. They're all getting the same sort of physique.
Well,
Why is that? Is it because it's such a mobile game?
Yeah, it's
these
just
days?
and because of the Pacifica players, there's so many more Pacifica players now. And they're so big and mobile, and they're good on their feet. That all the clubs are one. If you don't have a Pacifica player, you want to try and resemble that. With a Caucasian player as well. So that's the way the game's. I remember when it was unlimited interchange, and the bigger team you had, the bigger, faster team you had, you're always going to win. That's why the Bronx won it in 2000. They were basically running off. Shane Webke, Petro, Brad Thorne. They had the two big wingers and Lottie and Wendell. And Mick Hancock was there as well, playing off the bench. And they just run the forwards off. They'd walk up and down the sideline. They'd run straight back on the field again. And you couldn't stop them at the back end of the season. They were just too big. So this is why I do like the 8 interchange. I do like that. It starts bringing the smaller man back into the game. The guys like your Jai Arrows, who we're going to talk about really soon, who last night just did not give up, and he's a smaller type front rower.
Well, he looks smaller than what he normally has been.
Yeah,
I reckon.
Yeah,
I've seen him at 360 a few times. He does look like he's carrying less bulk.
So let's get on to that game. 60 points to 14 in favour of the Broncos. That was the second game last night. Pretty clinical they were. I didn't think we were going to expect anything less. I didn't expect a 60-point scoreline.
Not at half time.
No, but that up until half time, I thought South Sydney, they were courageous all night. They did whatever they could. They had a couple of young players that hadn't played first grade before. You could just see their body. They were still so frail when it came to their structurally, their body. But did everything they could to try and make the tackles they need to make, but try and stay in the game. And in the end, the class is always going to overcome that. But South Sydney, they did what they could, but this Broncos side played a lot more controlled last night. They didn't try and blow South out of the blocks from the first 5 minutes.
They earned the right.
Yes.
That was said. They had some nice sort of key phrases afterwards.
Yep.
Earned the right, played to their process.
Oh, it's just
we were chasing our game.
Have we got a cliche audio button?
I don't know, but that seems more. I don't know. That's more sort of, corporate talk, isn't it? Can we get to what about Dean Mariner's pickup for that try?
Oh yeah.
What was that? That was incredible.
So you make a couple of changes on the wings, and you bring in Selwyn Cobbo and Dean Mariner.
Yeah.
So
not bad.
Hence how good your depth is. And Dean Mariner's an outstanding player. I've got to say, Selwyn Cobbo, well done. He looked lean. He looked more engaged in the game. He was getting involved in everything. He was pushing up as a support player. He was hovering around the middle of the field as well. But I think it's fair to say that when Reece Walsh, and Michael Maguire has spoken about this at nauseum, that when Reece Walsh, his temperament and the way that he wants to play the game reflects the rest of the way the team will play as well. It all moulds off him. And last night, Reece Walsh played a really controlled, had a really good temperament about his game. And we'll talk to Trent Barrett, the assistant coach, who's coming up really soon, about about his game. It was a lot more mature.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to like about the Broncos. If they can get it together, then there's no reason why they can't be pushing for the comp.
Larry says, did anyone notice the shoulder charge by Reece Walsh? Got a couple of texts about this.
Yeah.
Towards the end of last night's game.
We are literally waiting for the
It was blatant.
the judicial report to drop.
Yeah, it was. I think because it didn't stand out, it's because no one laid down after it,
No.
which usually, gives the ability for the bunker to have a look at it. Player got up, played the ball, it was play on.
I thought it was, there's a lot to like about Brisbane.
Yeah.
I think they're just plodding along there after all the noise around whether Michael Maguire was the right man for the job. That's obviously gone away, and he stuck to his guns. And they're, I think a great example is Cobbo. He was under so much pressure to let him go early. He said, "No, I might need him." And look how Selwyn Cobbo played last night for the Broncos.
Also looking at his body language last night, a player that's disgruntled will not celebrate openly. He'll.
Is that you celebrating?
He was. You don't know what to do with my hands, but last night when teams
Just keep him away from
teammates
me.
are scoring tries, he was engaged. He was his body language said to me last night that he just wants to play footy. It doesn't matter what jersey he's got on. He just wants to play footy. Go to the Dolphins next year, and then I think we'll see him at the Perth Bears, of course. Now, Adam Reynolds becomes the second player to reach 2,500 points.
He's really happy about it.
Cameron Smith is 2,786. Could he catch him? Now, I've thrown some numbers up here. In 2023, that was Jermaine Osako. He scored 244 points to be the top point scorer in 2023. So with him not being a noted try scorer, Adam Reynolds, in 2021, when they made the grand final when he was with South, he scored 248 points at 11 points on average per game. Okay, so he's got 1 year next year to try and catch Cameron Smith. So he's 286 points behind him. So in the remaining games this year, he's got 5 games remaining in the 2025 season. He has an average of 9 points. So he needs 200 by the start of next year. I reckon he's going to need 241 points to beat Cameron Smith. Now he's only done that a couple of times in his career. So his teammates going to have to score a lot of points.
He's got a lot of points to get there. That said, it's an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
Given he's had his fair share of injuries lately. That was something that Cameron didn't really have at all. Like his ability to keep playing through pain. It was only really towards the end of his career that Cameron started to have a few niggles. And he had to manage his body through to the final season. But it's always going to be a storyline, and particularly in a game like that when South are playing the Broncos, whether they made the right decision or not to let Adam Reynolds go. I say no. Well, I think a lot of people were of that opinion at the time, because you don't let a player of that ability, slip through your fingers, and that's what South did. But for all the brilliance in that Brisbane team, couldn't you just see last night? He just controls. He controls a game of football as you'd expect of someone who's played that many games. It's almost like Cameron Smith in the sense that they know what's going to happen 3 plays ahead, and you can feel that with Adam Reynolds. And against a weaker opposition, you could see that last night.
He's built a real good combination with Reece. And 228 says Adam Reynolds has played a lot less games than Cameron Smith as well. Yeah, he has. He's missed a lot of games with hamstring injuries as well. So it's an amazing career and still so much to go. As I said, a lot of courageous players. Lockie Hubner never gives up. Jai Arrow was amazing last night. His chase on one of the Ezra Mam try as well. Never gives up. But Wayne Bennett, he sort of expected this. This is what he had to say post-game.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't gone close to that. I think we had about 8 or 9 at Redcliffe last year at one stage, but we're on 13 today. We didn't have an 18th man tonight. We just, the 18th man pulled out before the game. He had headaches from concussion he had 2 weeks ago, and we'd been cleared past all the tests, but he still wasn't well. So come back on him the last couple of days and hadn't said much to us. And tonight we made the decision before the game not to put him on the bench.
No 18th man, and usually you're not allowed to bring any new players into your squad from another club after June 30. They would have been able to get special dispensation, I think. Probably left it a little bit, probably too late. They brought in Peter Marmazoulis and Jamie Humphreys, who are still suffering
from
protocols from the head concussion.
What did Bennett say after the game? He said their spine had played 13 matches between them.
Yeah.
He's missing 13 first graders and they lost, including 2 this week, and no 18th man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an injury toll.
Keep your text coming in, 0457 736 736 is the number. If you want to give us a call about anything, Bunnies fans, Broncos fans, your games this week, the NRLW Magic Round, whatever it may be, we'll talk about it. 1300 01 1170. Stick around because after the break, we've got the Broncos assistant coach, Trent Barrett, is going to join us on Saturday League Kickoff. Yeah, I knew you would have been happy with Reese's pass selection last night. Instead of going long, he went short a number of times, Baz. But when we talk about the hooker, Benny Hunt, he was always going to come back and play some role when Ezra came back at number 9. And Billy Walters, coming off the bench, last 4 weeks, his first involvement has created points. So as a coach, Baz, how hard is it to convince players that coming off the bench is in the best interest of the side right at this moment?
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky with the personality of Billy Walters. He's a very selfless bloke, and he's a real good club bloke and a really good team player. So, he's doing a great job there. And we probably would have liked to have got him on a little bit earlier last night, but the broken arm to Willison sort of threw our interchanges out of whack a little bit. But he's doing a good job, Bill. And Benny Hunt gives us a lot of cover in the halves too if something happens to Renault or Ezra.
Payne Haas didn't play. What's the prognosis with Payne? Will he be back next week?
Yeah, he'll be back next week, mate. He was sick. He ended up in hospital. He had a bit of a staph infection or something. So it wasn't an injury as such. It was more an illness. So he'll be fine. He'll play next week, which is handy because Xavier's broken his arm. So so we're going to have to juggle that, and we'll miss Xavier. He's been really good for us and getting better each week.
Do we know do you know the prognosis of the break at the moment, Baz? Is it a bad break? Is it something that come finals time he could be back?
Yeah, I think it'll be a push. Given, it didn't look real good, So I haven't found out this morning what the go is, but sort of it'll be a minimum 6 weeks, I'd imagine. So he's going to be pushing it, but I'm sure they'll do their best to get him back. Because he is important to us, particularly with our rotations in another big body. But young Tolte, who come on last night for us, did a good job, and they're going to have to play some bigger minutes for us in the next few months.
Well, you just touched on that. I'd written down in my notes here about Ben Tolte. We spoke about him earlier on, the Muzzlebook Ram. He's been coming off the bench, and we're talking about the evolution of the front rowers now, Baz. It seems to be we're seeing one big front rower and the other one, that Luke Bailey type, sort of low to the ground, really quick leg speed, and he's been coming on the field and creating a bit of havoc, hasn't he?
Sorry, motorbike.
Don't talk while you're on your motorbike, Baz.
Was that Michael Maguire on his bike just zooming away from recovery, or what was that?
Oh, God. Yeah, no, with Tultz, he's doing a good job. I really like him as a player, but he's brought a fair bit of professionalism to the place as well. He's come through that Melbourne system. He's played a lot of games at Norths, and he is a different body and got different leg speed to what we've got. And I think he complements everyone. He's really direct. He plays, back to inside shoulders all night, and he straightens us up. So he's going to be good for us. And he was unlucky not to make the side anyway in the last few weeks, when we were full strength. So he's been a good addition for us. And, him and Corey Jensen a little bit similar. So we need those blokes to do a lot of work, and a lot of the work that the bigger blokes can't do. And, they're doing a good job for us. It's a good balance.
Baz, you guys are knocking on the door of the top 4, which sort of contrasts with how some reports from earlier this year were that the players weren't picking up what Michael Maguire was putting down. Can you give us an insight just to what it's been like to coach alongside Madge and how he's got this club pointed in the right direction?
Yeah, look, it's been good. It's obviously each club you go to is different. Every head coach is a little bit different in their styles and personalities. So when we went to the Broncos, we'd all come. Well, there's myself, Madge, Benny T, Matty Ballon, and we all come from different backgrounds, different clubs. Our idea is very similar, but different terminology and whatnot. It's sort of, there is a bit of a feeling out period, getting to know each other and getting to trust each other, and that trust and respect is a big thing, particularly with the coaching staff, and not only with the staff, but with your players as well, and that takes time. And we had a little period there for a month where we lost those four 4 or 5 games in a row, and we probably learnt more about each other as a staff and players during that period. And it was probably they were probably last losses we needed to have, really, because we'd sort of masked up, covered up a few issues early on with the good big wins we'd had. But I think we're all starting to get on the same page now, and we're finding how we want to play. We've known for a while, but you've also got to convince the players that this is the direction we want to go in, and building our game and getting into the grinder games is, one thing that we need to be better at, and that's what I was happy with last night. The first 25 minutes, we did that and earned the right to play at the back end of the game. So that's a big thing for us. But the players, mate, have been outstanding. That is a great club. It's a unbelievable organisation, and we have got a good side, and they are good blokes, and they can play. So what we've got is an opportunity, but we just can't stuff it up. We've got to nail it.
Yeah, I've always been intrigued about the coaching philosophies and whether you have to be a little bit more flexible if things aren't working out, or you just continue on the same path. But you talk about the evolution of players as well, Baz, and I look at Tony Staggs, who was this young, aggressive player that came in. He strikes fear into the opposition, still does, his opposition centre, but he seems to have gone to another level from a maturity sense, a leadership sense in his game.
Yeah, he has, and Madge put him in our leadership group, which I think's been good for him. He's a real man's man, Katoni, and he's a good bloke, and he's well liked, and he's a competitor, and he's tough, and he's certainly important to us, and it's probably the best foot he's played or played for a couple of years anyway. But he's competing hard, and his defence has been outstanding. He's not just tackling them; he's hurting them with him without the footy. So he's he's good to have around too. So he could have played back in our day. I think he's mad, and he's very well liked.
He's mad and well liked. That's all you need in life.
Mate, and he can play, so he's a cool package.
Now next week it all lines up on a Thursday night. Before you think you're heading the weekend to yourself, it's you're only 4 days into the new week next week from Monday when you're travelling down to Melbourne to play against the Storm. So. Completely different outfit you're coming up against. Of course, they've got their Jerome Hughes is out at the moment, but when you play against the Melbourne Storm, Baz, what are the disciplines you've got to be really good at if you're going to go head-to-head with them?
I think our start is important. They've put some teams away down there, particularly at Amy Park, when you go down there and, they can score points really quickly and the game can be gone in the first 20 minutes. So our start's extremely important. You do need to play some footy against them because you're going to have to score, 24, 26 points to beat them. So the big thing with our attack is we want our players to attack. The errors are going to come at some point, but it's just at what end of the field they come. You cannot make red zone errors or yardage errors and give teams a crack at you, and that's probably the biggest thing we're trying to impress on them now is, we want to play, but certainly come of our own end. We still want to move the footy, but, you just don't want to be putting blokes under pressure back there. So that's a big thing for us. And going to Melbourne, you've got to play very, very well to beat them. We know that, but it's going to be a good test for us. And we're going to have to, if we're going to do anything in the semis, we're going to have to beat these teams anyway. So we're looking forward to it.
What do you think, just finally from me, Baz, we sit here and talk about this being a really open comp and it's ripe for the picking for so many teams. Do you feel like that inside the four walls of your club, that this is, it's a bit of an open field, this year's premiership?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think when we play our best footy, and I still don't think we're there yet, but certainly capable of getting there. I think we can beat anybody. And I think it is a pretty open competition. I think, the top, to make the top four is certainly a huge advantage, and that's got to be a goal of ours now. Well, I think we're 2 points behind the Warriors and Penrith, and there's a couple of teams sitting below us and breathing down our necks. So last week was a pretty poor loss for us to have, considering the magnitude of the table and where we sit. But to make the top four as a goal, I think it's probably a year though where, if you are fifth or sixth, that you're not out of the picture though. I think that the top 8 teams, they can all beat each other, and it is a pretty open comp, as you said.
Hey, Baz, each and every week we like to talk to the players or the coaches from the night before. And for our good friends at Temper, Sleep Well with Temper, a player that would have slept well last night, just purely based on their workload, is there someone that stood out for you?
I think Reece probably would have slept well. I was just really happy for him, mate. A lot of people don't see the work that Reece does and how passionate he is about his footy and how much he cares about it. And he was hurting after last week, and I was just really happy for him, mate. I could tell he was a bit tentative at the start of that game, and it was slippery, but he worked his way into it and ended up being one of our best players. So I'd imagine he would have slept a lot better than he did last week.
Awesome. Now, at the start of the show, the listeners believe that Webby has a larger head than I do on TV. So if you had to point out a player in the Broncos who has the largest head, who's got the largest head? I'm going Jordan Ricky.
Yeah, he's got a big head. Payne's head's big, but it's in proportion. So Rick's probably got him covered. Dave Fairley's got them all covered.
Oh yeah,
Even me.
Daisy. Shout out to Daisy. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Trent Barrett, you would have slept well last night because the team were outstanding. You and the coaching staff and the players as well. Enjoy the weekend, mate, and a big one against the Melbourne Storm next Thursday night. Thanks for joining us, pal.
Good on you, fellas. See you, Webby.
He's a good man, Trent Barrett.
A good man.
Yeah, very good man to have part of your coaching squad as well. Let's get to a break here on Saturday League Kickoff. And for our good friends at Temper, he has said that Reece Walsh would have slept well last night. This is Saturday morning kickoff. Sats and Webby. And after the break, we're going to touch on the conference system, the proposed conference system for a 20-team competition. Yeah, welcome back to the show, Saturday League Kickoff on this, of course, a Saturday morning. But thanks to Trent Barrett, funnily enough. Thanks to Trent Barrett for joining us from the Brisbane Broncos. And if you do miss most of the show, you can get it on the podcast as well. If you've got the SEN app, if you don't have it, download it and get all the podcasts of all our shows throughout the weekend. And also, welcome to all our viewers on the Fox League station as well. Big day of rugby league, big weekend of rugby league, especially with the NRLW Magic Round in Newcastle. I hope the Newcastle fans will turn out. I think it's a great place to host the first
I think it's
round.
great. It's such a pity with the weather.
Yep.
You know, it's just they just couldn't take a trick with the inclement weather that's hit the east coast of New South Wales.
Can we get a stadium with a roof on it, please? Any stadium.
Can you pay for it?
Hey, thanks to our good friends at Wing House and also Monarch Advance as well. Great parts of the family every Saturday morning. Your text messages are coming through 0457 736 736. Guildford Owl says, mega head Webby. And if you want to give us a call, 1300 01 1170.
Lucky I don't have any confidence issues.
Fatman 2232 says the Broncos pack was outstanding last night with very little acclaim, all putting in there. Therefore, the individual goes unnoticed. Team quality bought by Madge. Yep, good point. Good point. I was looking at that team last night with no Payne Haas and
they've got so many great
Piakura
younger
out.
players coming through.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, you're
they
right.
They should be pushing for comps.
Yep, exactly. Now, Steve says, I think you brushed over Sats, the shoulder charge by Walsh. It appears that he's a protected species. A shoulder charge is a shoulder charge. Simple. If it was Latrell, everyone would be calling for his head. Probably would. But Steve, I think the difference is that it didn't make contact with the head. It was a shoulder charge by interpretation, but the player didn't lay down. He just got up and played the ball. So I think we'll hear more about it, and we're waiting for the charge list to come through and see whether he has been charged at all. So let's get stuck into this conference system. Now, about a year ago, Webby, you wrote a story about a proposed conference system and what that would look like, and Mick Shamus has sort of reignited that debate and comments from PVL as well, and what it would look like with the new broadcast deal, which starts 2028.
Yes.
Yeah. Perth Bears coming in 2027 as well. 19-team comp. This means if a conference was to come in 2028, they have to find a 20th team. Now, we're not going to talk about who the 20th team is, but more or less, if there was a 20-team comp, what does it look like, a conference system? So when you touched on it a year ago,
I was what
were you alluding to?
Well, I was less worried about the conference system as the 20-team competition.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the fact that if you had 20 teams and you can have, you can shorten the season. It's a fairer draw.
Yep.
Because everyone plays each other once.
Yep.
But for mine, I think anyone who's been watching the game long enough, we all love rugby league to death, but you can love something to death.
Mm-hmm.
if you have too much of it. And I just think the season's too long. A 20-team competition allows you to shorten that season.
So I'm going to throw some numbers out there, okay? So the regular season at the moment is 24 games, 3 byes, 27. But there'll be 23 games in a conference system. There'll be more finals. At the moment we have 9? There'll be 11 finals, so more content. Total NRL games without Origin players. At the moment, there's 15 on average. It'll be 10 NRL games without Origin players. The length of the Origin period is one that is always up for debate. At the moment, it's 53 days. It would be 29 days. Same amount of weeks, 32 weeks in the competition. And PVL says 20 teams is the right number. Now, I played in a 20-team comp in 1998. It was ugly at times. It was a top 10. And for Doggies fans, you would remember that you came from 9th that year to get to the grand final against the Brisbane Broncos. And on paper, that 1998 team was one of the great rugby league sides we've ever seen on paper. They went on to beat the Doggies that day. So what it would mean, a 10-team final system, is that you would have clubs with a losing season. What I mean by that is you've lost more games than you've won. It's a very NFL-style system. So we're going to throw up on the screen here if you're watching via Fox League, and we'll explain it the best we can if you're listening through the SEN network. So there are 4 conferences based up into north, south, east, west. So east and west is the first one, and what these teams will make up. So if you're watching this on the screen, the Eastern Conference, Webby, is
the Sydney Roosters, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the St George Illawarra Dragons, Cronulla Sharks, Manly Warringah Seagulls.
Don't have to travel too far at all. And
No.
you play them twice, okay? And everyone else once. The Western Conference,
Parramatta Eels, Penrith Panthers, Bulldogs, West Tigers, Perth Bears.
again, so
That's very West.
it is very west.
That's
So
a-
you play
it's a bit
all those
unfair.
teams twice and everyone else outside of your conference once. So let's go to the other 2 conferences as well. So you got North and South. So North is obviously made up of a lot of the Brisbane teams,
Do you want me to read it out?
Queensland teams. Off
Am
you
I
go.
doing good reading here?
You are doing very
Northern
good reading.
Conference, Brisbane Broncos, North Queensland Cowboys, Gold Coast Titans, just the Dolphins, and Papua New Guinea.
Yep. And Southern Conference is the Warriors, the Raiders, the Knights, the Storm, a second New Zealand team, and that's
Controversial.
yeah. So that's not coming out of PVL's mouth. That is coming out of Michael Shammas's his prediction of a second New Zealand side. So obviously that Southern Conference, a lot of travel there.
That's right.
Yep.
See, that's the thing that I'm concerned about. Like some teams, like that last Western Conference is going to be, the Eastern, was it the Eastern Conference?
Yep.
The first one, yeah. Well, they're not travelling much at all
No.
compared to the rest.
Yep.
See, you talk about the second New Zealand team. I'm David Gingell, the former boss of Channel 9, says it in that story with Michael Chammas today, that he thinks that a third team in Southeast Queensland's the go.
Well, yeah, you don't have to talk to me about it. I think
We're down with each other on this. We're down.
We're down, but it's not about where AFL is a threat. It's not about population growth when it comes to broadcasting deal. It comes down to how many new eyes that the game can get on the screens, and that's purely what it comes down to. Now there needs to be a team
For TV,
Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
But also, you still also don't want to give up your heartland. And we've said it before, the AFL are coming for Western Brisbane.
Well, they know that, and the NRL know that, but I don't think.
I don't think they do.
Oh no, they do.
I
just don't think they.
I think they
seem
do,
to-
and the QRL do, but I'm not entirely sure the NRL do, because I remember talking to them about both Andrew Abdo and Peter Volandis about this at length, and I go, not on the agenda for the idea of another team in the west of Brisbane.
Because a large part of that Western corridor are Broncos fans, so they're already watching the footy, or they're already going to the footy, whatever it may be, using public transport, driving into the city.
But isn't that area going to get bigger? Aren't they
Yeah,
going to have more and
Springfield,
more
all
people?
those areas there, and then you go up into the range like the Blue Mountains, which is Toowoomba.
I'm not talking about the fans that are there, the ones that are of the new population that's going there.
Yeah.
And that's why the AFL have got more designated employees in the west of Brisbane than the NRL has, full stop, at head office.
So they've sort of assigned all the existing clubs to try and cover that area, the Western corridor, through Ipswich up into Toowoomba, and I don't think it's the right thing to do because they've got to worry about their own patches. And I've used it on this show before, the AFL, and I've spoken to someone in the AFL. They've said, we're out there with a set of boxing gloves on, waiting for the fight, and no one's turning up to it.
That's right.
So
It's I think that's what the push has been, but behind that consortium that really wanted to get a start there in the west of Brisbane. But it's Peter Volandis. The story that Chamis has written today. I talked to Volandis for the piece I wrote a year ago, and he thinks that 20 teams is the number. That's something that's been pushed by Nick Politis and Phil Gould for a very long time, and Volandis listens to both of those men considerably. I'm with you. I don't like the idea of a 10-team finals. I just think that's rubbish, and I do worry about. We've got 2 new franchises coming in. If you talk to people in the game, there's a lot of concern about Perth and PNG being so far behind the 8 ball already, and it's just going to be interesting to see how those 2 teams go before we even start thinking of introducing another team into the competition.
yeah, you're right. And Ty says on the line on the text line here, a 20-team competition will only work if the NRL will bring in a player loan system. It's a good point, Ty, because there are going to be enough players to fill 20 teams. Is there going to be enough quality players to not? The new teams that's exciting. You're going to get marquee players in new teams. They've got a fresh salary cap. They're not having to manage their salary cap like every other club is trying to balance it because they're coming in year one. So it's easier for a new team to sign new players. It's harder for the existing teams to keep those quality players. And we're seeing that now with Perth coming in and PNG as well.
But the Dolphins, they struggled to remember how many marquee players said no to Wayne Bennett?
Yeah.
Early on, they did really well with Katoa, obviously, and they had to go and get a lot of older players like the Bromwiches, like Felice, who's there at the moment, and they've done well. Redcliffe, but they're a team that's been established for 100, 47, yeah. On a big junior base, big legs club behind them. It's the Redcliffe are only just starting to, become a finals threat now. That's what concerns me about bringing in new franchises in other areas.
Yep. Hi, boys. The Central Coast of New South Wales. Would it be a consideration for a 2020 team? Tony from Arncliffe. No, I don't think it would be, Tony, because once again, those people are already watching the game. And they want to try and move away from the amount of teams that are in and around the Sydney region as well.
Yeah, and I think they've looked at it so many times and it just has not happened.
Yep. Another one is Darwin. Would Darwin work? But I think there's other locations. There's the Western Corridor of Brizzy, and then there's the second team in New Zealand as opposed to somewhere like Darwin.
That's right. Rugby, if they want to really go after rugby union in New Zealand, that's the way to do it.
Yep. Lads, I live in the Western Corridor and all the neighbours' kids, girls and boys are all starting AFL, Maddie says.
100%.
The third best golfer in SEN. Yeah. Yep. And
it's an issue.
You drive out
league.
along that around that Western Corridor, and there were once rugby league fields that have been transformed as well. So it is a massive concern. But can you get new eyes to the TV? Well, the data says no. Hey, on open line, 1300 01 1170, Steve from Brisbane is on the line. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, good morning, fellas. I was just talking. I heard you talking about another team for South East Queensland, but there's not another stadium that can handle this workload. But if you're going to look at anywhere, look at Toowoomba and see if they can build a stadium up there. You've got the big airport they've built up there. They can fly them straight into Toowoomba, all the other teams. But Suncorp just can't handle more load. It's a disgrace, that surface.
Is it that bad? It seems to hold up all right.
Talk to some of the players, Webby. Just talk to some of the players.
Yeah,
they reckon it's a disgrace.
Yeah, okay. I like the idea of a team in Toowoomba and a new stadium.
So I like it too. Ipswich, Toowoomba. The problem is that when it comes to stadiums, Steve, and listeners and viewers, is that the Olympics in 2032, funding for new stadiums is very scarce.
Steve, I'm probably just comparing it to Allianz Stadium, which goes a foot underwater after a couple of days of rain.
Yep. Hey, thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it. There is a healthy Pacifica population in Western Brisbane, hence why the Warriors are setting up the academy there. They are in Logan between the Gold Coast and Brisbane. They should only have 4 teams per division and each year play a different division. I don't want my Warriors playing Melbourne twice a year every year, as are from DY. That's another thing as well, the strength of your conference. I think it's got some merit to it, but I think we need less teams as opposed to more teams.
Yeah, I agree.
As well.
Yeah.
I know Matty Johns has been, and Andrew Johns, sorry, has been rabbiting on about that for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not against the conference idea. I'm more so if it's more teams that have to be added to the comp.
Yep. Hey, let's get to a break here on Saturday League Kickoff. That's the first hour done and won, and we've got plenty to talk about in the second hour. NRLW, we've got the Magic Round, the remaining games coming on. Also, Jerome Luai. Well, he said to the West Tigers fans, I'm here for life for the rest of my contract, which is what the West Tigers fans want to hear. So we'll get to the end, get to a break, and on the other side, plenty more to come. Yeah, welcome to the second hour of Saturday League Kickoff. Plenty to talk about. We had Trent Barrett in the first hour. We spoke about the Thursday and Friday night games, as well as this proposed conference system, which would make up 20 teams. 4 conferences made up of 5 teams, East, West, North, South. And if you missed that in the first hour, you can get it through the podcast, or you can get it on KO Fox League as well. Now, 2 times 19 team conferences, Greater Sydney's and other. NRL covers travel to keep it fair. Bottom teams relegated to Queensland and New South Wales state comp, beers and banner. I don't know whether we're used to the 2-tier system where we drop and relegate teams. We're not used to it in our Australian landscape.
No. And with also, it's not going to, if they're trying to get record broadcast deals, they're not going to be able to do it if they've only got half the teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it though. I wish it was the case.
Yep.
But I just don't think they have the number of clubs or the players to sustain it.
Scott says on the text line, Perth is a mistake. Needed a North Island second New Zealand team. Could you imagine creating a North versus South Island derby as well? Well, they've got a new stadium in Christchurch, which would be a great home for a new team.
There's plenty of people that think that should have been the place they went. Yeah,
and
I'm talking about people in the game
again
that are pretty strong on that should be a priority ahead of Perth. But we've got Perth, and there's no way they're going to back away from that now. But yeah, it's an interesting time for the game, and Peter V'landys is a can-do sort of man, as he likes to tell us. So. Things are going to change in the next couple of years.
Yeah, there's part of PVL that I really like is that
he gets in and does stuff,
but he's very transparent. Like he's not discreet in what he wants to do. He just goes straight through the front door. He says, "This is what we're going to do. Try and stop us." And I don't mind that.
No, I like that. I like that about him. He's a bulldozer, as they like to say.
Yeah. Now, also thanks to our really good friends at Wing House and also Monarch Advance as well, who sponsor the show each and every week. Very important parts of the family. You can have your say throughout the show, 0457 736 736, or give us a call, 1300 01 1170. Now, we are going to talk about a team in focus. We're going to talk about Jerome Luai, the NRLW, the Magic Round this weekend. Also, Lockie Galvin. He's playing against the West Tigers. Their chairman, Barry O'Farrell, saying, hey, don't boo him. I think that's reverse psychology.
What does that say?
I think Barry O'Farrell, he's saying to the fans, come on,
boo
them.
No,
but
don't
deep
boo
down,
him.
he wants them to boo Lockie Galvin, and they will. They've got every right to.
And they do.
Yeah.
I'm not a booer. We've had this discussion.
No, I'm not a booer either.
No. I'm a swearer.
Yeah.
I'm good at that.
I'm a frustrating fan.
What do you mean?
When I'm watching my team.
You're frustrated?
Well,
or frustrating?
My wife says I sigh heavily while I'm watching my team play. I sigh heavily. And my daughter says that as well.
Yeah.
Now, team in focus, the Melbourne Storm. Well, there's plenty to focus on. You could do a whole show on the Melbourne Storm and how great they've been since coming to the comp in 1998, winning a comp in 1999. Where the Gold Coast, the whole what if the Hunter Mariners players went to the Gold Coast Chargers, which was first listed to do, and the powers that beat the Gold Coast Chargers said, no, we're going to go on our own. And they got kicked out of the comp. They all went to Melbourne.
They did.
And they built a juggernaut. Now, currently sitting second on 34 points. They're 2 points behind the leaders, the Canberra Raiders. And the Canberra Raiders still have another bye in hand as well. They're definitely going to play top 4, which we expect them to. I'll ask you this, listeners, viewers, and also Webby. Are we getting the best out of Melbourne at the moment? Because I don't think we are. They're winning really well. Their win against the Roosters was a tough, gritty win when they lost a really key player. Last week's win again was a tough, gritty win. Are we getting what we expect from Melbourne? For me, not yet.
I said this yesterday on Morning Glory. They're just very un-Melbourne-like.
Yep.
Their lack of discipline at times, and you can see everyone sort of like sits there and laughs
Very
about
basic errors, aren't they?
They are
Yeah.
like even like the Pappenhausen drop. Passes going to ground on their coming off their own line. That's not Melbourne.
Yep.
And if you know Craig Bellamy at all, you can understand why he's getting up and pacing to the back of the coach's box. God, he must be getting his steps up.
Yeah.
He's done some Ks.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. This is a trivia question.
Mm.
Which side of his lip does he bite?
He bites the left.
The left side of his lip.
Yeah.
As you look at him, the right side. He'd have ulcers, bad ulcers inside that
It's
lip.
amazing how many you
wouldn't he?
talk to coaches, how many actually have ulcers, mouth ulcers. But yeah, that's just the standards that they expect. I still don't think they're anywhere near played their best football.
I think they'd agree too.
That's right. And there was a feeling of that, if I remember correctly, the last time they won it in 2020.
2020?
Yeah. I think it all just sort of came together there late in the season, and I'm sure that's what Craig Bellamy is hoping to be the case. And the lead up to this year's final series, as I said, the way that Melbourne have been a little bit streaky or haven't just been there for the entirety of their wins, it makes it an open comp in many ways because they've been the dominant force for so much of this year. But there's not every team seems to have a little chink in their armour, which makes it a fascinating finish to the year.
Well, Dougie from Melbourne on the text line says, boys, Storm haven't had their right side together the whole year.
No.
They've had injuries all year, got to get some players back, which is going to set them up for the finals. Just look at the way they've changed their defensive structure in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and they've found ways to win, which the Melbourne Storm, they do. Once upon a time, they found it difficult to come from behind. Remember they went through that period where they'd have to blow teams off the park or they could hold you at bay for long periods of time, but to come from behind and score 2 or 3 tries if they got behind was always really difficult for them. Now, when we look at their run home as our team in focus, the Melbourne Storm, Brisbane Broncos Thursday night, then they've got the Penrith Panthers the following Thursday night. Then they have the Bulldogs. Then they have the Roosters. Then they have the Broncos. It's, if you want to be hardened to get to the finals from the opposition that you've got, there's no tougher run-in than what the Storm have got.
I like how all of them are sort of playing each other towards the end there, aren't they? Penrith's got a tough run. So do Brisbane. And Melbourne, so we're all going to know where they're at as we get into the finals.
Yep. So I mean, you look at all the players that have gone to the Melbourne Storm and just found another lease in life as well. So Josh King, he's one of Craig Bellamy's favourites from all reports.
Yeah.
Eli Katoa, I remember watching Eli Katoa as an 18, 19-year-old playing in New Zealand, and he was playing first grade NRL for the Warriors, and then all of a sudden he became a free agent. And the Melbourne Storm, through really good research, thought that they could get the best out of him. He's one of the best back rows in the competition. Tyron Wishart, another one. Not quite sure what position Tyron plays, but whatever position he plays, he plays really well.
He does.
I think he's a hooker myself.
Yep.
Sean Bloor came through the Penrith system, went to the West Tigers. He's got to nail those big games, like those grand final games. He's got to be one of the best players on the field, Sean Bloor. That should be his next motivation. Nick Meaney is another one. I've always thought Nick Meaney at the Knights and the Bulldogs was always a really good player, but he's gone down there and become a really vital cog as part of that side as well. So
Absolutely.
They just get the best out of teams.
They do. And then you've got players like Katoa who just come on and, become the absolute, beasts that they are, particularly in the air, and he can score a try. That's been Craig Bellamy's specialty over the 20 years or so that he's been at the Melbourne Storm, his ability just to squeeze the lemon as hard as he can and gets every last bit of juice out of every single player. Do you like that analogy?
Well, I'll tell you a player he has got the juice out of over the years. He signed at the club as a 16-year-old Cam Munster.
He goes all right. I've noticed him, he's played some good games from time
I remember
to time.
once telling a club that'll go nameless about this kid in Rockhampton who don't know what position he plays, but he just plays really well.
Who was the club?
I'm not going to tell you who the club
The Titans?
is. No, it's not the Titans.
Penrith?
No. And
Tigers.
and the club said, we don't think he'll make it because he walks like a duck. Well, here we
Well,
go.
he's a pretty skillful.
One of the great Origin
pretty
players of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I loved on Thursday night how he just, when the game needed to be sealed, like that kick obviously for Xavier Coates was pinpoint, and he could see the way that he turned around and looked at his teammates like, come on, let's go.
I know.
He's he'd be great to play with Munster.
So the whole rumours around him potentially going to Perth.
That's right.
Now, he's been at the club his whole life. He went there as a boy. It turned him into a man. Cameron Smith, I thought, summed it up beautifully the other night, where he said now he's built a family at the club as well. He's going to be one of the club's greatest ever players.
He's got stability there at the club.
But I think he's served such a great purpose. And Stormy Daniel, I know you'll hate this, and Hillstorm Hillary and Dougie from Melbourne, I think he's formed such a great legacy at the club and has served such a great purpose that I think from a salary cap perspective, I would see Melbourne saying to Cam Munster, if you want to go to Perth, we'll let you go and earn as much money as you're ever going to earn in the game. Third-party deals over there as well with the mining money over there as well, because they'll keep Jonah Pezzett and Jerome Hughes as their halves partner. From a salary cap point of view, it makes pure sense.
It does, but if it's yeah, but I find Munster is a little bit like he got linked to the Dolphins and other clubs in the past. To me, it feels a little bit like Craig Bellamy. It's all good in theory, and you can discuss it, and the idea of the grass being greener on the other side, all that type of stuff. And then when it comes to it, I find that they can't do it.
Yeah.
Craig Bellamy's had numerous chances to leave Brisbane. Remember, he's going to go to the Sharks at one point there. Like, I know the Dragon,
Melbourne.
the Dragons had a good dip at him a while ago. They almost had him. I just think when it comes to leaving there, it just gets too hard.
It's a tough emotional connection, isn't it?
That's right.
To break. Yeah. Lewis from Sunbury, Andrew Lewis from Sunbury says, I can see us missing the top four. Feel as though Bellamy has lost the group. What are your thoughts?
He's lost the group.
He'll never lose the group. Andrew from Sunbury, he'll never lose the group, ever. Is Will Warbrick and Sua Farlungo coming back this year? Yeah, led to believe Will Warbrick is back running from concussion protocol. Sua Farlungo with that hamstring tear was a little bit like Herbie Farnsworth last night as well. They're both expected back before the finals as well, which is frightening for some sides. Now also the R360, Pappenhausen apparently has met with the senior figures of this R360. We don't know how significant this R360 is, but whenever there's this sort of cash around and it's US dollars, you've got to remember, you've got to take it seriously.
Exactly. Look, as I understand it, those R360 organisers, which by the way is not backed by Saudi money. I spoke to representatives of the PIF in Saudi Arabia last week, and they said no, we're not involved at all. So their name keeps getting linked to this rebel competition. They say that is not the case at all. My understanding is that they do not want to target players who are still under contract. So I think he's on contract till the end of next year, Pappenhausen.
Yes.
If that's the case, then they wouldn't be trying to move him for next season. And they need a competition to get to.
Yeah, exactly.
To go and sign. I think a lot of players, NRL players, will be linked to it. Just how real it is, and just whether it's posturing to try and squeeze some more money out of their current NRL club. That's the big question.
I think Pappy would have left Melbourne last year if they won the comp.
What? Right.
Yeah,
Why do you say that?
I just think at the time, that part of his life, I think he wanted to be closer to Sydney. I think he would have gone to the Bulldogs if they won the comp last year, because remember he left it really late.
That's right.
He signed after the season. So Scotty from Forestfield says, I don't think the Storm can win it if they keep making the same mistakes they're making now. This is the most open comp he's seen in years. I agree with you.
I'm the same.
And I think their coaching staff would agree as well. They're making these uncharacteristic errors, just simple catch and pass.
That's why Craig Bellamy's doing this.
Chewing the other lip.
This one.
Yeah, the left one. Yeah. So plenty of Melbourne fans, which is great to see. Hillstorm Hiller is one of them. Morning kicking gents. Hell no, he won't go. One club player, and Bianca and Munster will only go back to Queensland. Dream on, Big Mel. Cheers and cuppers, Hillstorm Hillary. Yeah, mad Melbourne Storm supporter. And Stormy Daniel, who I mentioned earlier on, is a Storm supporter. Storm haven't clicked into gear yet. They put together impressive halves and periods in games, but apart from blowing Wests off the park, haven't really been dominant for an 80-minute period. They're yet to reach their ceiling or hit fifth gear, which is a byproduct of injury and origin, So, Nelson Asafa-Solomona has got to get that ill discipline out of his game. Some of their players have got some get some of that ill discipline from a sense of the basics of the game out of their game.
I can't run a line through them yet.
I don't think anyone
5 rounds before
anyone
the
who
finals.
would be silly to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Particularly those of the sort of backed them.
Yeah, exactly. Is that you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I backed them at the start of the year, and I just thought, after what happened last year, they'd be ripe for it this year. But it's as we've said, it's as open as ever.
And Junior Smithy, no, it wasn't the Bulldogs that said that about Cam Munster as well. Hey, let's get to a break here. And on the other side, we're going to talk about all the remaining games. We're going to talk about the NRLW Magic Round as well. Plenty to come on Saturday League Kickoff. This is Saturday League Kickoff, myself and Andrew Webster, and thanks to our good friends at Winghouse and also Monarch Advance as well. And we're going to get stuck into some of the news throughout the week, and just on a lot of love for the Melbourne Storm. Hillstorm says she's already bought her tickets, so they better make the grand final as well. Lundy, Weather Zone believes Storm can have a strong end of the season. My phone keeps lighting up with storm warning, leave now. I see him as telling me to go get my grand final tickets as well. Well, we'd be disappointed if they weren't there at the season's end, because they're always a topic of conversation about dominating each and every season. We're going to talk about Jerome Luai and very soon. Also, Lockie Galvin's return to playing against the West Tigers. Now, I wish it was at Campbelltown or Leichhardt, but it's not. It's at CommBank. And we also want to talk about some of the most anticipated returns. For example, Sonny Bill Williams coming back and playing against the Bulldogs. What was that, 2012, I think it was? Because they won the comp 2013, the Roosters. So some of the most anticipated returns playing against their old clubs. So think about that, 0457 736 736 NRLW Magic Round this weekend. Now, we've got some reports through that it's raining pretty heavy in Newcastle, which is unfortunate. First game kicks off Gold Coast Titans, Bulldogs 12:15 on Fox League as well. So it's a very exciting time for the women's game. I think next 4 or 5 years, the women will be full-time athletes. We'll see more teams in the competition as well. But
that's what they're pushing for in the next CBA.
This Magic Round is a really good step forward as well. So we can see all the talent in one area as well. So it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame about the rain. It is a real shame. But if there are one group of fans that get out and watch the rugby league, it's the Newcastle Knights. They love their footy.
They do.
Yep. So I can't wait for the weekend of rugby league. Jerome Luai, well, he silenced rumours that he's going to activate a clause in his West Tigers agreement, and he's given a pretty strong indication that he's going to be there for the length of that contract as well. This is what he had to say, Jerome.
Scoops? Nah, just scoops of ice cream. I'm staying, don't worry.
For a long time?
For life.
So I'm staying, don't worry. Not the ice cream. I'm sure he does love ice cream, but he's also offered his help to Jerome Hughes of how to nurse a shoulder injury through his season.
Yeah, I also liked in the same press conference he said, I tried to help Lockie Galvin, but he didn't want to stay, so I thought there was a nice little bit of passive aggressiveness from Jerome Luai.
It's nothing for like a journo to start a headline. Passive aggressive. He probably means it. I want to try and help him. He didn't want to listen to me, so he can go on his merry way.
It's not a journo trying to start a headline. It's called calling it as it is. That's what people can't handle.
Okay, so
I'd say, all right, no, sorry, all right, I'll do your version. That's so nice of Jerome to say that he wanted to help Lachlan Galvin. Rugby league, what a lovely game. Everyone gets on.
The man in the black shirt, see? It's like wearing the black hood.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for spitting truth.
Now, he did also say, I think when things get hard, people are sort of expecting you to change, and I'm not that type of guy. I'm here for the long run, and I'm here to change this club around. Now, statistically, when you have a look at the stats, the boys on 360 on the Fox Lab, they bought out some stats around Jerome Luai and his involvements this year and being able to convert those into points, line break assists, try assists. He's sitting well below a lot of the other key playmakers. But a signing like Jerome Luai, listeners and viewers, is more about what they do when the cameras aren't rolling. They're there for a really big reason off the field. They're there to change the standards, the values, your training ethics as well. That's what those sort of players that have come from clubs that have tasted some success. That's why they sign them. Yes, to bring you on-field success, but also what you can teach a lot of those young players off the field as well. And that's where the longevity of the club comes through when you get those players in your playing squad and you get as many of those that you can. And they've done that well, the West Tigers. They've signed a lot of players that have won comps.
They have. And Luai was such a big signing for them.
Yeah.
People sort of talk about the exit clauses that he's got his way in his contract, one being that allows him to negotiate with other clubs on November 1 this year. So that's why I find it very interesting that Luai has said that he's here for the long run.
Yep. Which
I can only assume means he won't be. His management will not be trying to get any more money out of the Tigers later this year. But they've got Jerome Luai to the club to build that football team around him.
Yep. Yep.
And I was joking before about Lachlan Galvin. I love Jerome. I love people who are unashamedly themselves, and he's gone there and put so many expectations on himself, and basically put the future of that club on his own shoulders. So I love it to work out for Jerome. I thought it was very strong what he had to say.
Yeah, well said.
This week.
It's funnily enough, he sends out. I suppose he projects this image that a lot of people can question.
Yeah, people
his
misread
authenticity, but when you actually see the man in person, if you go to when he was at Penrith, you go to Penrith or West Tigers training sessions, he is one of the first guys to acknowledge any fan, adult or child who's at the training session.
Yep. I remember when he and Brian Tyler were picked in the New South Wales team for the first time, and he came out and introduced himself to all the reporters, which you don't usually see.
Yep.
He's an infectious character.
He is. Now, West Tigers and Lachie Galvin returns for the grudge match. Now, CommBank Stadium, like I said, wish it was Campbelltown or Leichhardt. Brett says, I read that the Bulldogs crowd will cheer when the Tigers crowd boo.
Oh, to cancel it out.
Now, Benji Marshall says it's not up to him to tell fans whether they should boo or not. I think he's right because fans look at it completely differently as a former player, or they look at it differently as a journo as well. The fans have a completely different skin in the game when it comes to following their side. So I thought Benji chose his words really wisely there. Now, but the chairman, Barry O'Farrell, he's come out, like we said earlier on, reverse psychology. Don't boo Lachie Galvin, which he's actually saying, we want you to boo Lachie Galvin. But that's interesting from Brett. That's going to be interesting to watch out for that, the Bulldog crowd, and hear whether the Bulldog crowd do cheer when they boo Lachie Galvin, because it's inevitably going to happen, but he seems to have a pretty thick skin, the kid.
He does. He doesn't. Well, I remember they were going to boo him when he returned after he got demoted to New South Wales Cup.
Yep.
Came back into Benji Marshall's team, and there was no booing of him at all. I think it'll be different this time around. I would, but he just seems like a kid, not in the same sort of, not cut from the same cloth as Katoa, but he sort of rolls with it, doesn't he,
Yeah.
Galvin? Like, he doesn't look like he's he's struggled with the expectation on him since he got to Canterbury. And I thought last week he looked great.
He's grown up with an expectation being a good player
for a lot of his life. And a lot of these blokes are. Jerome was one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So on Jerome, Burka Panther says, Luai's the man to bring the Tigers back. People have doubted his form this year, but I feel what he brings to the team Monday to Friday is a huge part of why they've improved. And they have improved. Even though some of the wins aren't there, they're in games. They're battling in big games. So I agree with you there, Burka. Now, what are some of the most anticipated returns we've seen in rugby league in years gone by? Now, I touched on the Sonny Bill Williams, 2013, I think it was, the Roosters v Bulldogs. Roosters ended up winning by 30+. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what about Cronk versus Melbourne, 2018?
You stole the words from out of my mouth.
And then went through to a grand final as well.
That's right.
With one win.
And then beat them.
Yeah.
Remember the exchange with Cameron on the ground?
Yeah.
He had Cameron by the throat.
Loved it.
What grand final was that?
Loved it.
Was that
That was 18.
18.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I love it.
And never never put a lot of focus into Cooper on the field with one wing, and
They couldn't really get near him,
they
could they?
sort of couldn't get to him. They did a really good job that
I remember
that day.
sitting watching it from the press box, going, like it's almost like he was a trainer,
Yep.
just sitting there directing the
Yep.
play. Like
What
a
about
maestro,
Latrell?
like a conductor.
153 just reminded me then when he mentioned the word Latrell, but when Latrell played against the Roosters for South.
That was sort of bubbling for a few years.
Yeah,
there,
it
wasn't
was. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And then it boiled over
It did boil over as
in
well.
spectacular fashion.
Now, yep.
Oh, I think back to other days, other players over the years. I remember, show my age. I remember when Paul Vaughton played against Manly.
For the Roosters.
Remember when he
for
left?
the Roosters.
Yeah, remember when Fatty left Manly? It was that was a huge story. And then he and when he finally played against him, I remember Manly fans standing up and with banners of support.
Yep.
For Fatty.
It's different when Ron Gibbs signed from Manly to go to the Gold Coast
That's
in 1987.
Yes.
They wanted him off the field. They wanted him scalped. They did.
Did
Ronnie Gibbs, yeah. And I think they played at Redfern one day, and everyone was ripping into Rambo Ronnie Gibbs, and he broke through and put a bomb over the top, caught it in midair, and scored a try in Redfern one day. And I think the Manly fans forgave him when they won the comp later on that year. So, yeah, some of the most anticipated returns to their old clubs. It's an interesting one. 0457 736 736 is the number. Let's get into some signing news. Dane Gagai re-signs with the Knights for another year as well. A report to be on around 400k a season. I think that's right at his age.
That's a good contract.
Yeah, absolutely. He was really good last week at fullback. Really, really good. Didn't get the win, but he was pretty impressive at fullback. I don't think it's a bad move for the Knights. I think it's a good move. I think if anything, they need a little bit of stability in that club. Their salary cap, from all reports, is a mess.
It is.
So they've got to let a lot go to.
And he's been a stable influence at that club. You wouldn't want a player like Dane Gagai going.
Yep. Chock Mundine going to Brisbane from the Dragons. Rob says, yeah, absolutely. Won a comp 1997. Anthony Mundine, people forget, the Super League year.
Yeah.
Playing in the centres for the Broncos. What about Hammond Ueli? Granted permission to talk from the Sharkies.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and Sifa Talakai also whispered that he could move on as well.
He's allowed to negotiate with other clubs if he wants to.
Now we look at that, everyone, and we think, why would you want to let go some quality players like that? But this is what the salary cap does. Sometimes players, they get to a point of the salary cap where you just simply can't afford them, and you have to let players go, because you may have some good development players coming through from the development squad into the NRL squad. Means they've got to be on the average wage of 135, 140,000 a year, and that pushes someone else out. So this is where the salary cap is meant to even out the competition. Probably hasn't done that for a number of years, but as it goes through cycles, and this is where the Sharkies will go through a cycle now where they've got to be able to try and retain some players. One of those is Blake Brayley.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look, it's Talakai. I don't know where does he fit? Where does he go?
Well, it depends where you want to play him. Do you want to play him in the back row, or do you want to play him in the centres, or do you play him as a utility? For some clubs, he'd be a really good centre for them. Someone who needs, and he would be regarded as sort of like a quasi-strike centre, hard to handle. So, yeah.
I don't mind him in the back row.
Neither do I.
He's obviously big enough.
Yep. Comes down to a conditioning situation then. Like, is he an impact player, or do you try and leave him out there for long periods of time? But for me, Sifa Talakai to some clubs would be a really good centre. Yeah. Which clubs they are, I'm not quite sure, because, again, you know what their salary caps are like.
That's right.
Yeah. So plenty happening this weekend. We've got some new signings. We've got the NRLW Magic Round as well. And plenty to cheer for in the stands if you're a Tigers fan or a Bulldogs fan, supporting your player Lockie Galvin or booing Lockie Galvin, which we know is going to happen. Steve Morris from the Dragons to the Roosters. Greg Inglis versus New South Wales. Yeah, exactly. What about thanks? Get fans are used to seeing ex-players move on from the Tigers and win comps for Feeder, the Fox, Tedesco, and the list goes on, Luke says. Yeah, so the Tigers, they have been pretty unfortunate over the years, but we've got plenty coming through now. Foran returning to Manly in 2021. Both he and DCE should have played the entire careers together. He probably thinks that too, Kieran, at stages as well. What's your take on Wade Egan and his playing style? Absolute beast, I reckon. Yeah, he's out at the moment. Young Sam Healy played over the weekend. Good player, Sammy Healy. But Wade Egan is a very good player, and I think he's not far away from playing New South Wales, to be quite honest.
Well, I sort of think that that's where they're going to have to start looking at some changes.
Yeah.
I'd be getting. I said this yesterday too. I'd like the idea. They've got to find a place for Matt Burton.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yep.
They just need.
I
Those
heard
type
both
of
you and
players.
Buzz talking about that during the week. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think Burton's such a gun player, and he's really starting to come into his own. Like
depending who your halfback is, Burton's your perfect
sure.
six.
Yeah, that's the changes that might need to happen.
I remember as an 8-year-old watching the King Wally Lewis return to play for the Gold Coast at Lang Park against the Broncos. The stadium chanting Wally's name, including Broncos fans. Yeah, Jag Carbrook, Brisbane. That was 1991. Gold Coast Seagulls. Then he was captain coach in 92. Then coach in 1993. So plenty coming through here about, Willie Mason, Roosters v SBW
right.
Bulldogs. Yeah, Foran returning to Manly again. Plenty coming through. Desi returning to Brookvale after walking out of after a premiership, 2012 as well. Yeah, exactly. That was when he went to the Bulldogs. Let's get to a break here on Saturday League Kickoff. Plenty to come. We're going to talk about the remaining games. The Saturday Form Guide coming up next. Thanks to our good friends at Wing House and also Monarch Advance as well. Thanks for supporting the show each and every Saturday morning. Got plenty of nominations coming in for welcome returns when they go back and play their old clubs. This is based on Lockie Galvin going back and playing against the West Tigers. Lockie Galvin will do nothing. Tigers fans need to start a Benji chant if they want to stick it to the kid. Wouldn't that hurt? Good morning. When Les Boyd returned to Lidcombe as a hated Silvertail, Dallas Donnelly gave him a very warm welcome, Magpie Swanee. That would have been a very warm welcome. Yeah, what about when Tallis v the Dragons, when he went to the Brisbane Broncos? Got to remember, Gordy Tallis sat out for a whole year.
Oh, yeah.
Man of his convictions.
I know.
Yeah. I remember they put a birthday cake in front of him at the signing.
That's
and
right.
everyone thought,
Well, he didn't do it too bad. He was getting paid and then also like bouncing around Broncos corporate functions on game day. I don't think it was like, I don't think he was basically on, Alcatraz.
He's a good man, Gordy. Shout out to Gordy. Be sitting at home in Brizzy
watching
the show.
I'll tell you who else is. Jamie Sower just texted me. Big shout out to you, Sowie.
Sowie. I seen him on the, what is he on, the Guru podcast?
Is he?
Yeah.
He's good caller.
He's got a good eye for the game when he dissects the game.
He does.
Yeah.
There you go, Sowie. There's a little plug for you, mate.
Actually, yeah, I heard him calling a game. Was it last year? 2GB was calling a game, wasn't he? Yeah, call by call, not as a colour commentator. Yeah,
yeah.
Very difficult to do. Very difficult to do.
Do you do play by play?
No, I'd like to do play by play, but mainly colour.
I reckon you'd be good at play by play.
I do. I wish I didn't have a camera at my home because I sometimes do play by play just sitting at home watching.
Just watching
game.
it.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I am a nerd, but I'm a rugby league nerd.
That is a little bit weird.
Let's get into the Saturday form guide, and it starts off on the Gold Coast. When I left there yesterday, it was beautiful weather, so I hope it's still nice on the Gold Coast. Seabus Super Stadium, 3 p.m. kickoff. The Titans up against the Panthers. This has snuck up on us. The Panthers are chasing 8 straight wins.
What?
Yep. If they win this game, like we said earlier, 1 point behind the Warriors. They're looking for back-to-back victories, the Gold Coast Titans. Now, Liam Martin started on the bench.
How many times have you said that this year?
I know.
Poor old Titans.
Liam Martin started on the bench last week. He's got that bit of a busted hand from Origin that he played through Origin 3 with. So, given a rest a week later, came back on the bench last week, had an immediate impact, scored a really good barnstorming try. That's what they do really well with him. Nathan Cleary's able to put him on, and Blaise Taulagi are able to put him on one-on-one with a halfback defending, and he gets those bumper bars up, and it's always pretty hard to control when you've got a guy that's so powerful and low to the ground. So yeah, he goes into the starting side. So it's one of the matchups I'm looking forward to, actually, Beau Fermor up against Liam Martin. Yeah,
that'll be an interesting clash. Bit of news around Beau Fermor this week that
your boy from Dalby,
wants to talk to rival clubs earlier than November 1.
Yeah, I'm reading.
What do you think? What do you think of that, Sats?
Well, the reports are the Gold Coast Titans have rejected that request, or rejected that request has even come forward. I'm not quite sure what's right and what's wrong. It would be a shame if Beau Fermor a player like Beau Fermor moved on from the Gold Coast Titans. I think players like Beau Fermor is a guy you can really build a club around. Guys like himself and Tino naturally, but guys, I'm led to believe Keanu Kinney is, when you look at different data around players I should say that are what they call coachability. The players who
Coachability.
That's the new word. Coachability, that whether you're a player
like
that's
following your process.
got the the emotional intelligence to be coached, to be able to criticise and take that on board and make that criticism better for your game. Keanu Kinney, I'm led to believe, just rates off the charts.
In coachability.
So mature for a young guy. But so these sort of players like Beau Fermor, I hope it's not true. He's one of my favourite players, Beau Fermor. So I'm doing this to you, Beau. Please stay put.
It's a problem when your club hasn't had much success.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to convince not just players to come, but the other ones to stay, and that's where the Titans are at. Just back to the Panthers. I wonder at any point earlier in this season, particularly when they were last or second last on the ladder, if Ivan Cleary thought this is a write-off, the salary cap's just bitten too hard this time. We're not going to be able to make a run at the finals.
I think he looked at it the opposite way. I don't think he looked at it as this is a challenge for our team. I reckon he looked at it as this is a challenge for me as a coach because I haven't been in this situation for a long time. He wasn't in it at the West Tigers because they weren't playing finals all the time. But I think
he was in it at Penrith.
Hey,
he was in it at Penrith.
Yeah, before
in 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
It was far worse than it ever got this year.
Yeah,
and I think the confidence that you get out of making 5 grand finals in a row is that you know what to do to get yourself out. But
I wonder if he changed anything himself.
No, I would.
Well, you wrote his book. You know him better than me.
Well, it's the thing that I love about Ivan and what I love about what Penrith have done is that there's no ego in that club. The perception of like the arrogance of those which I think was a crazy narrative that was pushed by people that happens in this game all the time. But inside those 4 walls at Penrith, there was like nobody was bigger than the club, and that included the coach.
Yeah,
and I think that's I think with that you can be really honest with each other. So I don't think they would have been deluded about how poorly they were playing. Like they were going to fall off a cliff at some stage. And I think, after all those losses and the way that they were playing, none of us expected it to be that dramatic. But at the same time, no one has expected them to be in this position now.
No, you're right.
At all.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have them in the 8.
Yeah.
At one point there, when they were really struggling, I said, I won't make the 8, and there's nothing wrong with it. They won the last 4 comps.
Isn't it funny? He had that left-hand side, which was Blaise Taulagi and Casey McLean and also Milky Jenkins.
It's going to become one of their strengths.
At the start of the year, it was just they were a rabble. They were all over the place. They're just trying to find a really good connection and alignment there. And now they've become one of the most dangerous left sides in the game.
And that's coaching. That's
exactly.
Good, very good coaching.
It's about putting confidence in a player and saying, I'm not going to drop you after 2 weeks. You're here for 6 or 8 weeks. We've just got to make it work. And the good coaches do that. They put faith. Now, just back on players returning or leaving, whatever it may be. We've got a text here from Greg Bird, a.k.a. Fitzy. They play golf together, this group, okay? Morning, boys. Unwelcome returns when that filthy Matt Rogers left the Sharks because he didn't want to play on the wing. He never thinks he's a winger, but he is. A large percentage of his games he's a winger. And he's just got to... The day that he's happy that he's a winger, Matt Rogers, the happier he'll be in life.
Proud.
Be proud to be a winger. There's nothing wrong with it. You're 3 steps away from being a cheerleader, but that's all right. I stole that off Marcelo Montoya's wife, Taylor.
I do like that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
not
she
bad.
bagged Marcelo one day. Dragons Raiders 5:30 Wynn Stadium. Now we talk about the 8 straight for the Panthers. The Canberra eyeing 10 straight wins. Now people who are starting to question about whether they could win the comp, well, I think people are now starting to believe that this Canberra Raiders
There's some doubters
side,
out there. There's still
absolutely.
some doubters.
Yep.
Hey, not only are they looking at 10 straight, they've still got to buy up this league.
I know.
You know?
So they're really 2 wins ahead of. If
where
they keep
should
winning,
be.
they're 2
They
heads.
should be
of winning
leading the
where
comp
they
by 4
exactly.
points.
KO Weeks up against Clint Gutherson, 2 completely different athletes. But Gutherson's workload, his front load into everything, and then KO Weeks' speed. He's one of the most exciting players to watch. KO Weeks.
Very
He's
much
outstanding. So Dragons v Raiders, Wynn Stadium, 5:30 this afternoon, and DCE Well, up against the Roosters. Is he welcoming his future teammates to the Roosters?
Probably.
Well, Mitch put that in. He's trying to be creative about
And our producer Mitch.
Daly Cherry Evans
And you
welcoming
reckon
his
I'm the
future teammates
I'm the
to Brooklyn.
trashy journo, and here Mitch is trying to stir up
I know.
trouble.
I know. Olakau'atu out for the season, that reoccurrence of the shoulder injury.
Terrible.
Chad Townsend announced his retirement throughout the week. Well, he's a good career. You know, like he's played
Who's
to
this, sorry?
play. Chad Townsend
Oh,
to play the
of course.
amount of games that he's
Won a comp.
played, won a comp as well. Had a great career. So well
It was
done.
such a
Chad
touching
Townsend.
little sort of tribute on his YouTube channel with
his
the kids.
Yeah,
Beautiful way to say goodbye.
a lot of white. It was very white and clean, wasn't it?
I
Well,
do,
he's a
I
clean
do,
player,
I do
so-
like that he just
Yeah.
said, you know, he's comfortable enough to go, you know what, I'm happy with that being my last game of footy. I've had enough. So, yeah.
Plenty more golf for Chad Townsend. You do know, but when you start getting
Do you?
ragdolled by younger players, you just realise that you end
It's
up
not fun.
when you start feeling as though you can play again, and it's you wake up Thursday morning. When usually when you're younger, you wake up Monday morning, you're raring to go.
It
When
takes
it's
you to Thursday to
you
go,
go,
oh.
God, I've got to do this again. Yeah. Okay, let's get to break here on Saturday League Kickoff. We've spoken about plenty here over the last 2 hours, and when we come back, we're going to wrap the show up, get to as many of your text messages as we can before we rip in to another round of rugby league. Well, that's it for another edition of Saturday League Kickoff. I love this text, 463. Credit to the Titans for being creative with their home games to try and attract some people to attend. They've had wrestling in the past, and this weekend it's NFL theme. It reminds me of Jackie Moon and the Flint Tropics. Remember that semi-pro? Will Ferrell.
My God.
Perhaps they needed Des to fight a bear at halftime and they could get a sellout.
I think
love
they
that.
should.
I like that. Two-part question, guys.
I'd back Des.
Can the Broncos win the comp? Realistically, yes. Sula. Why does Gordon Tallis hate the Broncos so much? Oh, he gets disappointed in the Broncos because some of the decisions they've made over time. Of course, getting rid of his good mate Kevin Walters, over years, I think they sat him on the bench in his last ever game as well, which wasn't ideal. Petro got a bit of a raw
That was
deal.
a Wayne. That was a Wayne
That
incident.
was a power play, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was.
Hey, thanks to Trent Barrett for coming on the show as well. If you missed the show, any part of the show, you can get the podcast, download the SEN app. Also, you can watch the repeats on KO as well. So if you miss any part of the show, just catch up. Thank you very much, Webby.
No, thank you, Sats.
Plenty of text coming through. Titans v Rabbits, Spoon Bowl next week. Love the show, guys. Keep up the good work. Also got 858 guys watching the show for the first time and looking forward to the Canberra Raiders play at 5:30. Have a great show today, boys. Up the Raiders, absolutely. They become everyone's second favourite team, haven't they? The Canberra Raiders, and so much, so much talk back here.
Still waiting for the judiciary report.
Yes,
to
I
drop.
know. Reece Walsh.
Listen to us on Crunch Time. We'll let you know if it drops in that hour.
Yes, well said. For our SEN listeners, we are going to be another hour on Crunch Time, myself and Webby and Gibbo. Can you give a shout out to Molly, who was going to the Magic Round in the pouring rain for her 10th birthday?
Good on you, Molly.
Happy birthday, Molly. And thank you for joining us on Saturday League Kickoff. To our Fox League viewers, have a great weekend. To our SEN listeners, another hour of Webby and myself on Crunch Time.